Hi, welcome. I'm here. I have been absent for a few days and I've been getting requests from people wanting to know, am I going to film again? Yes, I am. And I know I committed to a challenge of filming every day, but life just kind of got pretty crazy over the edge this week for me. Um, and I know I'm not going to get crazy talking political. Just not going to do it. I've been putting my head in the sand as far as everything that's going on, but I know a lot's going on and it's impossible to not know. So I don't need to tell you anything. But, I still have to proceed here with my kitchen, putting things away and, um, life goes on for some of us. So in my tiny kitchen, there's just so much to be done. And somebody asked me today at church, well, what have you finished? Frankly, I couldn't say I finished anything. I've got many projects that I'm in the middle of because I don't just start and go straight through and finish. And some days I don't work at all. Not that I couldn't, not that it wouldn't help, but what's my rush? you know, I said, I have all these projects that I want to do. And if I got all this energy and I just bam, 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 got everything done, then what am I going to do? Just sit and look at my house, my kitchen. I don't think that would be very interesting. I made Waldorf salad today for church. It was Team Two's week, and it was good. I got the apples and my little portables container for carrying things. It really works out well. Got a nice carry strap. And I can take a nice big dish because we always have at least 60 for brunch on Sunday morning. So I made the Waldorf salad. And what I did was I got up early this morning because they said don't make it ahead, make it fresh. So there was 5 apples and I washed them and then I put them through that little tool with, cuts off the peel and cores it. And then I chopped it into small pieces. And then I did the same with about 5 stalks of celery. I made my dressing in the bowl first with half mayonnaise and half Greek yogurt. And I mixed that real well. And then I had already put some lemon into the apple pieces so they wouldn't brown. And I mixed that all together and then I mixed it with the liquid. And then I added cranberries and raisins. I toasted walnuts, chopped them up, and sesame seeds, and a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar. I put in some dried cranberries and raisins. Did I already say that? It went totally. I didn't see anybody lick the bowl, but I think they might have. We had soups. We had 4 different kinds of soups this morning. There was butternut. There was a really good coconut, lentil, squash. I don't think we said, it's going to be a vegetarian day, but it just happened that way. There actually was no meat, but we had 4 crock pots. We had 3 huge salads. We had beautiful desserts, some chocolate bars with pistachios and little orange pieces. I've got to get the recipe for that. And so it was a good meal. And I brought some little treats home. There's always leftovers. So somebody had made these cookies, gingerbread with non-dairy icing. They're pretty sweet for me. And I brought home some of the soup too, some of the butternut squash soup. So Might need this out. I've got to make bread again tomorrow. I make a loaf and I cut it in half of this seeded whole wheat bread that I just love. It's very dense, and I make a loaf and I cut it in half and I put half in the freezer and half I slice. And I try to limit myself to two in the morning with two eggs. And, but I end up having to make bread a couple times a week because I make one loaf at a time in my toaster oven. I could do two, but that's what I do. The bowl is, I've got this arthritis thing going on. And so if there's too much in the bowl, it becomes difficult for me to turn it. So, it just all goes with having a tiny kitchen that I can age in place. And my days of big meals are gone. That's in the past. If I have a big meal, it's probably because I'm going out somewhere to eat, and that's rare because I prefer my own cooking. And restaurants have become so expensive. And then, in addition to the food, you've got a drink and you've got a tip. Well, tipping is good, and I think it's important to help. But the food was that great, but it's just not. And between you and I think that a lot of restaurants are just buying in bulk from Gordon's, which is a great place. I mean, I think they've got good food, but it's all the same. And I like a little adventurous in my food. I like to put a little of this and a little of that, and let's try this. And I do like it spicy, so I'm a cook for spicy. So that's all I've got today. You know, I've got to. I could give you my list. Certain things call to me. Um, I think that if I got out the material and stitched up these curtains, it would help me feel better. And I can do that. The thing I'm going to run into though is the trim around the windows. I still have to paint that, but I've got the paint to match the walls, except in a semi-gloss. So that's my intention. And then secure it, and then attach the curtain rods. So that's what's holding me up. But sometimes I just kind of do a makeshift. I get one of those Springer curtain rods and fold the material over until I can have time to get the sewing machine out. And I can live with things like that for a few weeks. And not everybody can, but I can. And it's just me. So I am the only one I have to please. And I like that. I do have another companion here at home, and she is in hiding right now. I lost my Maine Coon this past summer, and it broke my heart. And I have missed that cat seriously. And I wasn't going to replace him because I felt like that would be a betrayal. And I know that's not true, but that's how I felt. But this was on Facebook, which I don't get on very often, but I was scanning through, and this Maggie is her name. And she was going to be at a place where, I was going to be going past this afternoon. And I went in there, and she took to me like I took to her. So I don't know. She's here. She's sweet as can be, but she is hiding. And I brought her out a little bit, but she's exploring. There's a lot to explore. So I took her downstairs because that's where the litter box is, and that's where the base, where the washer and dryer are. And I've got her little dish here in the kitchen for food. And she'll come out. She'll be brave eventually because it's quiet and it's calm here. I had some jazz on the YouTube playing just to give it like a nice atmosphere, and have the humidifier going, one of those bubble things that does all the colors, and you put a fragrance in it. So it's a nice calm environment, and She'll come out. She'll be a good kitty, I think. That's all I've got. I know I'm not the only one who's feeling unsettled right now. Things are unsettled. And I don't know the answer, and I'm not going to get into a debate or any name calling or anything. We all have our opinions. I don't think any of us like the chaos, the lack of serenity in our world today. But I don't know how I could change it. So all I can do is change within my home, and I am staying home a lot. I always go out to church on Sunday morning. I I really like my fellow congregants, even if I don't always like the service. Don't tell anybody. I like the company of the people. And we always have a nice brunch afterwards. And we always have coffee for at least a half an hour before the service. So that's my big Sunday outing. And then Wednesday nights I go dancing, and I've got a regular crowd, and we dance to music like we danced to in high school, same music and same style of dancing, all of us in a circle. And I went to Costco yesterday. That was kind of brave. And I thought about wearing a mask because there's all this stuff going around, but I didn't. It's life. It's life in January of 2026. And it's not what I expected life to be like at this point, but it's what it is. And I'm glad I've got this project that I can work on here at home, an hour or two a day or not. And I read books from the library, and I read them on my phone sometimes. I've got Libby, so I'm probably rambling, but it's good to see you all, and I hope you're doing well. And we'll just stay in touch. Subscribe if you like, and I'll see you again soon. I don't know if it's going to be every day. I'm doing my best.